Okay.
The music structure is not structured yet.
All right, then. All right, gentlemen, let's move straight to our next conversation. Let's talk lottery. In governance, laws are crafted to align with provisions of the Constitution. However, when these boundaries are overstepped, judicial intervention becomes inevitable. The Supreme Court has nullified the National Lottery Act enacted by the National Assembly. The Apex Court ruled that it conflicted with constitutional provisions. Delivering its judgment, a 7-member panel of the court ruled that the National Assembly lacks the authority to legislate on matters relating to lottery and games of chance. Now, the court affirmed that such powers are exclusively reserved for state houses of assembly. All right, Adewale, the 15-year legal battle has now been put to bed, with this Supreme Court ruling.
Yeah.
And now they've nullified the National Lottery Act. Let me start with this. What are your thoughts at first when you heard that judgment? What came to you?
Well, I was happy that, irrespective of front lines of the judiciary,
okay,
there are a lot of things that are coming out, that have come out, and that will still come out of the judiciary as a very strategic arm of government. And this is a very good example of the judgment of the Supreme Court, which is the final arbitrator, in legal dispute.
Yes.
So it means that we can't appeal this decision as it is now.
There's a court of national policy.
Yes. So I think I'm happy in the sense that when you look at Nigeria, one of the major problems we have is running a truly federal government.
Okay.
When we claim that we are truly a federal government, we more or less run a garrison state. Because when you are looking about the issue of lottery, which was signed into law, I think in March 2005,
yes,
the Lottery Act by former President Olusegun Obasanjo, I don't think lottery should be an affair for the federal government alone. Lottery has been a very useful aspect of wealth creation all over the world. And even in the 50s, the Western region, the Western regional government introduced lottery when it had shortfalls in terms of trying to fund the fair education. So if you could have regional governments introducing lottery, I don't think that it should be an exclusive right of the federal government, the federal state, to legislate on issues of lottery. For instance, if you want to have a lottery, you need about 100 million naira as licensing fee. That money goes to the federal government. And we have about 36 states, in the country.
Yes.
Look at Lagos, that is almost as big as Ghana. Ondo is as big as Liberia. And you are saying that on matters of lottery, these states, this sovereign say cannot, come with laws that has to do. It has to be, I think it's a mark of a totalitarian state. And I'm happy that the Supreme Court was able to smash,
exactly,
and there are many other laws that are hanging that we still need to address as time goes on.
Now, let's talk about leveraging on the opportunities. Now, with this judgment now, do you see states leveraging on the Supreme Court judgment?
Of course, yes. That's why they went to court in the first place.
Especially for revenue generation.
That's why they went to court in the first place. Because, like I said, because the constitution that we inherited was created by the military. So we have this unitary, and because in the military is the authority percolate down. So we have this unitary system of government instead of the federalism that we claim we are practicing. So the National Assembly has no business getting involved in lottery. That is in the purview of the state. So it is the state assemblies that's supposed to do law regulating lottery. So National Assembly, the only state they can make laws for is Federal Capital Territory.
Exactly.
That's the only state they can, that's the only state recognized that they can make, because they make laws for the Federal Capital Territory, because they don't have their own state of assembly. So, but because we have been doing a lot of illegality, the federal government just enacted the law and asked everybody to just go and do whatever they like. So over time, a lot of states, led by Lagos, have been complaining about that. And the judgment of the Supreme Court have put that to bed. So that places like Lagos, where most of this lottery business operates,
on a large scale,
can benefit from what is happening within their domain. Instead of somebody sitting in Abuja, there are different laws like that we have problem like that. There is something about in tourism, there was a time that there was a problem between Lagos State and the federal government as who should collect certain levies from hotels and all that. So it is nice. States like Lagos will be able to leverage on that. And then when you know you want to do business within my state, then you know that it is that state that you go to. So their own state assembly now can now enact laws to make it official that it's a state law.
But how can we stop this? Because it's not as if the National Assembly do not know that this matter is off the resume.
No, you see, our democracy is evolving. Oh. And when you are learning like that, you make mistakes along the way. You understand? Okay. Because as at the time that law was enacted, they felt that, oh, this lottery business is becoming big business. So there's need for us to regulate it.
Okay.
You understand? Okay. So perhaps that was why it was done.
Okay.
If, for example, the National Assembly knows that they do not have the right to do so, I don't think they will want to do it.
Oh,
but
really?
you know, they've enacted it. They make revenue from it. So it's very difficult to just hand it over. Because when states, especially Lagos, started this agitation, started complaining to say, look, this is in our purview, we should regulate this. And they refused. So they went to court. And the court now has confirmed that it is in the purview of the states, and it's the states that should regulate the issue of lottery and games.
Now, how can the states now harness this thing? Because according to facts, it says 72.9% of young Nigerians actually play lottery. Now, how best can Nigeria harness this for development? Because I know there's controversy. Oh, if you play lottery, if you play this, some parents might... But how can we harness this for development?
Well, I think with the judgment of the Supreme Court, what I expect states to do is to seize this opportunity with both hands.
Both hands?
Yes.
How?
They should enact laws and get lottery outfits concerns to register, in their domain, and then to regulate, the practice. Because you can't just throw it to just everybody. See people about 13, 14 years, 15 years going to, gambling should not be mistaken for lottery. They are not the same thing.
What's the difference?
The difference in gambling is that there is no regulation. You may have, for instance, 1 million naira, and then you bet with somebody. You gamble with the entire money, and you are not sure of anything. But in terms of lottery, there are regulations. There is an age limit. Then, even when you want to go into lottery, the government must be sure that the fund you are investing is not illicit funding.
Okay.
So there should be a form of regulation so that people don't just see it as a way to as a practice that, we encourage our youth to just go into gambling and not do whatever they like.
There's age limits in betting too. Is for 18 and
If you go to all these areas where they do betting, you see people 14, 15 years.
So
now nobody cares.
So the laws are there, but implementing the
enforcement of the law.
Enforcement of the law.
Yes, that is the problem. So, there are a lot of also illicit funds going all around. So government must make sure that drug barons are not the ones that are, putting their money into lottery. If you want to set up a lottery company, the government must be sure of the source of your fund.
Of the source of the fund.
There must be a tax regime that when you are into lottery, there must be a certain amount of money that will plug back into the state. Not just that the winners take all, no regulation, and also. So the government must sit down and then ensure a free and fair field so that the lottery regime will be highly regulated to meet a global standard.
Gambling and lottery. He said there's a difference.
So
what are your thoughts on this?
Basically, what the government can do, government is doing that now because lottery and game business is what it is, just a business. The only difference is that it is important for it to be regulated so that a lot of our youths will not get sucked in there. Because right now, a lot of our youths, they do a lot of betting. Yes, it's more almost like addiction. So what government can do, because it is not a state thing, is that when they enact laws, the licensing fee will now come to them.
Okay.
Instead of going to the federal government. That's number one. 2, the taxes will be able to now come to them.
Yes.
You understand? So, and then they will now be able to now regulate it better so that they can stop our youth getting addicted to it. But apart from that, it's normal business like any other business. So it is people may decide to do things. You cannot, if they are of age, you cannot stop them from doing what they want to do.
If you're of age. All right then. All right, gentlemen, let's move straight to our next conversation.